Hey everybody, in this video I'm going to show you how to replace your AC condenser for a no AC issue on your 2014 to 2019 Chevrolet Silverado and Tahoe and your 2014 to 2019 GMC Yukon and Sierra. I've already recovered the Freon in the system. Even though it had a leak, it still had a little bit of Freon in it. But after you've recovered the Freon, the next thing you want to do is you want to remove these tabs out of this cover. After you've removed the tabs, go ahead and lift it up. Take it off. The next thing you want to do is you want to go ahead and remove the two bars that connect the fender to the bar here. While you're taking this bars loose with your 10mm, go ahead and take the 10mm nut loose from your water jug, your windshield washer jug. I'll explain why we're doing that in a minute. Next, we're going to want to go ahead and remove the air box. Before we do that, we want to lift up our mass airflow sensor, disconnect it by pushing this center tab down and sliding up, and then disconnecting the wiring harness from the air box itself. Next, using an 8mm, loosen the worm clamp. With the worm clamp loose, we're going to go ahead and move our harness out of the way, slide this back, the hose off, and just easily pull up on the box. Slide that out of our way. Underneath this bar right here, you have 3 hidden bolts on the underside here and on this side here, 6 total. What you can do is you can take a 10mm ratchet wrench, stick underneath of it, and twist and get these 10mm nuts out, or excuse me, 10mm bolts out. Once you get it a little loose, they'll normally twist out. Now, the reason I told you to take the 10mm out on the windshield washer jug, you can take the washer jug and you can slide it back a little bit and you can get in here and you can get this 10mm out on this side. Taking these 6 bolts out is actually the hardest part about doing this job. Let's go ahead and take the other ones out. Once we got all 6 of those bolts out, and when I say those 6 bolts were the hardest part of this whole job, I really mean that, and it literally took me 3 minutes to get all 6 of them out. But you have 3 13mm bolts that hold the radiator, or excuse me, this bracket on. 2 of them hold the radiator to this bracket, and 1 of them's here in the front. Let's go ahead and take these 3 13s out. Once you take those 3 13mm bolts out, the radiator and the condenser will slide around. Another thing is this bracket becomes loose. Once you have the bracket loose, we're going to lean the washer pump back, slide up on the driver's side, slide the bar out, and slide the bar off. This is going to give us access to the condenser itself right here. Let's go ahead and remove this little bezel. Be easy on the radiator, you don't want to bust it by accident. On both sides it has this little clip. These little clips just got to push out and lift off. Next, let's remove the Jesus clips. The reason they call them Jesus clips is because when you're removing them, you need to pray to find them. But it's a little horseshoe clip right here. You just take your hook tool, slide it out, and slide it off. Now, if you can't find it, don't worry, they come on the new condenser. Let's go ahead and take our claw tool, put it on the pipe, just bump it, and it'll bump right out. It will leak a little bit of transmission fluid. You have another one on this side right here. Let's go ahead and slide the cover back. Take your hook tool, get underneath the clip, lift it up, pop it out. Take your little claw tool, just put it on the edge of it, pop it just a little bit, it'll pop right out. At the bottom of the condenser right here, you have 1 10mm right here where my finger is. You want to go ahead and remove that 10mm. Just take a little ratchet, stick on there. Go ahead and twist it and it'll break loose and you can take it out with your fingers. Once you take the 10mm out, it's a little piece of plastic that holds these lines. Just twist that piece of plastic out and slide it off. That's it right there. Slide that out of your way. Now, on the back right here, where I got my finger, see if you can see them. I'm gonna come through this way to show you. That's where your AC lines are. It's a 13mm. Go ahead and take your 13mm ratchet with the socket, or excuse me, 1/4 inch ratchet with 13mm socket. Go ahead and loosen that up. Once you got it loose, I guess I should have loosened it a little bit more. Go ahead and take that 13mm nut off. All right, take the 13mm nut off, and what you can do is you can go ahead and slide your lines out. That's your top line. You want to make sure you replace the seal on your top line and your bottom line. Make sure you replace the seal on the bottom line as well. Alright, so the way that the condenser is in this vehicle is you have this tab on the radiator that actually locks the condenser in place. The tab will just slide back a little bit, so just take your claw tool, slide it back a little bit, take the side of your condenser here and just lift up, and it'll lift out of the slot right there. See that? See how it's lifting out of this slot? Alright, so you have the slot on the passenger side, but you also have one on the driver's side too. So like I said, you're just going to take your claw tool. Make sure you don't jab it when you're doing that, because if you jab it through the radiator, you're going to have a bigger problem. But just take it, slide it up, and then grab your condenser on both sides. Sometimes the piece of plastic on the bottom will want to stick on there, so just take you a little pry bar screwdriver, hold down on the bottom, just lift up and it'll pop right out of the piece of plastic. Go ahead and slide your condenser out. Now, once we have the condenser out, you have these two pieces of plastic on the condenser, and these need to come off because you got to use these on the new condenser. Come on, baby, come off for me. There we go. Slide our condenser out. With our new condenser, let's go ahead and slide the two pieces of plastic on. Lock it in. Do the same thing for the other side. Just like that. All right, let's go ahead and slide our condenser in. Go ahead and put it in the tabs on the bottom. Slide it in and push it down, and you will hear it click, letting you know it's all the way in place on both sides. Those two little tabs that I showed you that you push back will click on top of them. Once you have that done, like I said, let's go. I've already showed you taking the AC lines loose, so they go back together the same way. Make sure you put the new seals on them. But I'm going to go ahead and hook those up real quick. The small one goes on the bottom. The big one goes on the top. You got to put the bottom one on first, and then slide the top one on. Once you have that done, go ahead and take your 13 millimeter that I've lost and go ahead and install it and tighten it down. There we go. It's on the wrong side of my cart. Put that on. Go ahead and install the plastic retainer on your lines. And install the nut for that. That's a 10 millimeter bolt, excuse me, not nut. Get those mixed up all the time for some reason. Guess I'm just not used to talking my way through these jobs. All right. Using a 10 millimeter, let's go ahead and tighten that all the way down. All right. Now, when installing these these transmission lines into these clips that I told you about, the one thing you want to make sure is that these things install fully. They will click when they're fully installed. And once you hear them click all the way in, the one thing that you want to do is go ahead and pull on it pretty good, because you want it to come out for you, not while you're driving down the road. So if it isn't fully in there, get it out. But if it's good and in there, go ahead and take the plastic retainer, put back over the clip. Let's go ahead and do this side. Go ahead and install it until you hear the click. Pull on it pretty good. Like I said, you want it to come out for you if it's going to come out. Go ahead and put your retainer back on. Once you have the retainers on, go ahead and take your bezel, stick on. Just like that. In the short rows now you want to go ahead and install this bracket again. So we're going to slide the bracket through, take your washer pump, slide it back a little bit, slide it under, and set it down. Line up this middle. Now, what you don't want to do is you don't want to put these 13s in first. You want to do your 10 millimeters, all 6 of them, first. If you do the 10 millimeters, you'll be able to tighten them with your fingers all the way up. If you put the 13 millimeters in first and you tighten them down, you'll have a problem with the alignment for the 10 millimeters, and it'll be hard for them to go in. So what I do is I start all my 10 millimeters first, and once I've started them and I've got them almost all the way down, then I tighten them all down, and then I tighten my 13s. So let's go ahead and put them all in. I'm not going to make you sit through watching me put them all in. All right, I got all my 10s tightened down. Now, I want to take my 2 long 13s, and I want to put them through the radiator bracket. And if you notice on any of the jobs I do on any of my tape, I always start everything before tightening anything down. If you do that, you won't have a problem with cross-threading or tight bolts either. Go ahead and tighten these down. Once we got that in, let's go ahead and install our airbox. It'll push right into those little rubber grommets. Go ahead and get our worm clamp back in spot. All right, let's go ahead and tighten our 8 down. Put our wiring harness back in its retainer with the mass airflow sensor. Put our mass airflow sensor in and lock it down. Now we're going to take our brackets. We're going to go back from the fender to the radiator bracket here. Let's go ahead and do the other side. And don't forget our 10 for our washer. So we're going to go ahead and put our 10 in for our washer. And then tighten these braces down. Once we have that done, we're going to go ahead and stick our bezel back on. Put our retainers back in. The way these go in, they push straight down and then you push the center of them down. So you push it in, then push the center down. If you try to push it in all at the same time, they won't go in. So stick it in and then push the middle down. Once you're done changing the component, you always need to pull a vacuum on the system before recharging. But it's time to recharge the system. Trucks use 0.60 kg, which is about 1.35 pounds. The Tahoes and the Yukons use 1.02 kg, which is 2.35 pounds. And you're done. Make sure to top the transmission fluid off after doing this job. You do lose a little bit of transmission fluid in the condenser. I usually use about 1/4 quart. I will link all the parts and the tools needed to do this job in the description below. I hope this video was helpful. If it was, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. And as always, if you haven't already, please go ahead and subscribe. Thanks again for watching. Click that subscribe button. Help me help you. Go ahead and give the video a thumbs up or click one of these other videos wherever they are. Thanks again for watching.